Welcome back to our channel, the SMT Media Network, talking hoops today. We got a new episode of the Mind the Game podcast, hosted by LeBron James and currently, I believe, Steve Nash. Previously, this podcast was co-hosted with JJ Redick. So there's been, people kind of coming in and out of this podcast to discuss basketball topics with LeBron. And this particular podcast is produced, owned, operated, managed, all those kind of things. I think through the Uninterrupted brand and, which is LeBron's like entertainment management team or whatever. I don't even know how to identify that technically, but I mean, it's his platform and all those things. This podcast, the most recent one, brings on Luka Doncic, and Steve Nash asks some questions and LeBron gets asked questions, and as they answer these questions, you're looking for this introspective look, this analytical look into the game and how it connects with these guys. Sometimes there's, the impression that, a podcast is supposed to be a certain thing. I don't know what pods are supposed to be. I know what they can be. I've heard a lot of different podcasts and I've seen a lot of different people do different things with their platforms. But, after listening to this pod for the first, I think, 25 minutes, this particular episode, I'm in part 1 of the Mind the Game that has Luka. It really doesn't sound like what this show was supposed to be or what the pod was supposed to be. The pod was supposed to be Mind the Game, right? That's the title. And it's supposed to be like deep dive into hoops, technical things. I mean, half the time we're hearing LeBron and Steve Nash talk about we need to teach people about the game. I haven't really learned anything as I've been listening to this episode so far, and I'll listen to the rest of it, and there's a part 2 also. So I'm trying to learn things. I'm a student of the game. I love to play. I love watching it. I love breaking down film. I love listening to great players talk about the actual game, right? They talk about X's and O's and all those things. I'm not really getting that with this pod. And I haven't really got that much from the pod ever. This even goes back to the JJ Redick thing. So far in the episode, I've seen the guys, especially with Luka, like Luka's just talking about his experiences with sports. He's talking a little bit about the difference between Serbia and California or LA. And there's nothing technical. There's nothing X's and O's. There's nothing about formations, game breakdowns, tendencies, what they're looking for. It's they're just kind of rambling about just generic stuff. In fact, most of Luka's responses are very basic. It's the same types of responses and questions we saw when he first got to LA in those press conferences. There's nothing deep dive about this. And there really hasn't been on this platform. They're drinking wine. They're I don't know, just having a casual conversation. And like I said, maybe that is what their pod is becoming, but technically when they started this Mind the Game thing, it was supposed to be about in-depth analysis of the game. The discussions with former players, current players, looking into, the X's and O's and the technical aspects of plays and, the maybe certain game situations. It's become this self-serving platform about what it takes to get ready for games, which maybe is about the game, which, and that I can respect. A guy who's played this game at a high level for 20 plus years, 22 seasons, but it's also kind of turned into this revisionist history. Let's try to change the way that things actually happened. It's not what it was supposed to be. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised, right? There's some form of them trying to make this entertainment value, but I don't know if people wanted this. I don't know if this is what people were asking for. And I don't know what Steve Nash, his ultimate goal is. I really don't know what it is. I'm guessing he wants to be a coach again. I'm guessing he wants to be in the league on some level. As at the capacity he was before when he was the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. And he fell out of favor very quickly. And he's a Hall of Fame player and he was great. I'm just not really sure I understand the missions of this podcast anymore. I don't think I really get it. Or maybe I think it boils down to it's not for me. It would have been cool to have that. Like I do remember Kobe had that film breakdown thing that he used to do on ESPN. And was becoming pretty popular, and I think it probably would have continued in that direction. Had he not had that horrible event in which it costed him his life and his family and the other folks that were in that and on that fateful day. But this is not what we're getting. It's not what we signed up for. And unfortunately, I think people probably have to shift their mindset about this Mind the Game podcast. I, for one, will likely probably completely change my approach when listening to this. I'm going to look at it more so just like it's a hangout sesh. It's this. You're not going to be listening or watching the Mind the Game podcast in hopes of learning something deep about the game of basketball. You're just not going to get that. You're going to have to get that from some other YouTube channels or some other pods, maybe. I know that I do film session breakdowns on my YouTube channel all the time, in which we look at defenses, we look at plays, we look at player breakdowns, how they move with the ball, what they do with the ball, their processing, execution of certain plays, different sets. You're just not going to get that with this show. This is a self-serving platform that's really just about boosting one's perceived place in the pantheon, trying to, just change the way the stage is set for someone's career. I think that's what it is, but that's what I see. And if you guys ever listened to the pod or watched it, let me know what you think of it and what it seems like it is to you. Drop me some comments. Like, share, subscribe, check out some more of our videos. We'll see you guys soon on the next one.